Aloha and welcome to the KupunaWiki radio show. In studio today we have staff and volunteers from Project Dana. KupunaWiki is Hawaii's senior resource. We talk to the best local professionals in the state regarding topics such as real estate, senior housing, estate planning, finance, and health, so that our Kupuna families can find the best resources in the midst of a life transition. We strive to make sure our seniors are informed and supported every step of the way. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Brandon Lau.
And I'm Andrew Dion,
your host for the KupunaWiki radio show.
Our title sponsor for today is Cyndi Brooks Choice Advisors, providing the best real estate information so you can make the most informed decisions. As they like to say, real estate is about choice. To contact them, call 753-9033.
And now we have our real estate tip of the week, brought to you by Cyndi Brooks Choice Advisors.
With the recent sweltering heat and record-breaking temperatures, air conditioners have been working overtime. Looking to cool your home without breaking the bank? Consider installing ceiling fans as an alternate option. The effect of ceiling fans can be significant in improving the comfort of a home, often reducing or eliminating the need to cool the space with traditional air conditioning. Ceiling fans should be placed at least 7 feet above the floor at a minimum. For low ceilings, 8 feet in height or less, look to purchase a low-profile or hugger ceiling fan, or install using a plush mount.
For more information about renovations or tips for your home, contact Cyndi Brooks Choice Advisors at 753-9033. Well, again, today in the studio we have staff and guests, volunteers from Project Dana, and we have with us Cyndi Osajima. We also have Mike Hirano, and we also have Maria Morales. Welcome.
Thank you, and
we're so glad you could join us.
Thank you, Brandon and Andrew. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So this whole series we're talking about Kupunas giving back, and we just love what your organization does for Kupunas, and the fact that it's also has volunteers who are Kupuna, and they're continually giving of themselves. But maybe you can share with us a little bit of what and who is Project Dana, and what have you done, and what do you continue to do for the community?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, it's pronounced Project Dana, like the girl's name Donna.
Donna.
But it's a very common mistake that people make. Okay, so I'm Cyndi Osajima. I'm the executive director of Project Dana, which is an interfaith volunteers caregivers program. I think the emphasis on interfaith volunteers is very important. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary, end of September, so we've been offering to the elderly and family caregivers and disabled persons social support in the community. So it's things like friendly visits, respite, temporary caregivers relief, nothing medical, nothing personal care, but like to be a friend to an elder or a kupuna.
Cyndi, how did all this come about?
Okay, 30 years ago, 1989, there were two visionary women. One was our founder, Mrs. Shimeji Kanazawa, who was very involved with the Aging Network. She had taken groups to the White House Conference on Aging 4 or 5 times, every 10 years that takes place. And then our founding administrator is Mrs. Rose Nakamura, and they got together during the one dance season of the Honganji and decided that it was time for the Buddhist community to be more socially active. So it began at Mo'ili'ili Honganji with a group of women and helping some of the members in the church. And then it grew from there to where we now have 29 what we call sites, churches, temples, community organizations, offering assistance in the community.
So a lot of this continues to relate back to the Honganji community?
Honganji, but it's also interfaith.
Interfaith, okay.
Yes, yes.
So share with us maybe who else followed this program and wanted to be involved in the same way.
It's really nice. Probably our first non-Buddhist site was our neighbor Church of the Crossroads, and they're a United Church of Christ.
Okay.
And they're right up the street from university.
That's where my grandfather went to church.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Masao Tanaka. He's there for several decades. Over 3 decades.
They're a very socially active church. And then the pastor there had found out that we were helping a couple of their members. So we were very happy that they joined Project Dana.
Okay. And what has bin your role? Because you've been here for how long?
I've been with Project Donna for 26 years.
Okay.
My role is now executive director of Project Donna.
Mhm.
So just oversee the whole organization statewide.
Pretty much all the hats that you could think of,
Yeah.
you wear.
Yeah, but it's very enjoyable. It's very rewarding, if anything.
Okay.
Very rewarding.
Maybe you can share with us what are some things that you folks do that you love that you do?
For me, it's the interaction with the elders.
Mhm.
I think that as a woman, I learned. Well, I always talk to people that I learn something new every day. I learned that I should be financially secure. I should have a good social support. Be active physically, mentally, be alert. Um, like I said, I'm in this for a very selfish reason to learn more as a woman of color, to learn more of how life can be. You know. And then meeting the elders, they have so much to offer, so much experience, so many interesting stories. And I often tell our female volunteers that it's because of these women that they went through a lot of things that we have choices now. We can go to school. We don't have to be married. We don't have to have children. We can have our own career, and we owe it all to them. So now it's our turn to take care of them. Yeah.
So you mentioned there's a lot of women who are participating
Mhm.
and were founders of the
Mhm.
organization. Are there men who have since joined and
Oh,
followed
yes.
suit?
Yes.
Yeah.
We do have men. But as you know, usually in the caregiving role, it's usually a woman's issue.
Okay.
Wife, daughter, mother, daughter-in-law, niece. It's usually, but we do have men, like, we have Mike as our fall prevention.
Mhm.
And it's really interesting, the men that are volunteers, they take their role very seriously, very seriously. Well, either they've been caregivers, or they are caregivers, or they just want to be there to help. But most of our volunteers are of retirement age,
Right.
and they know what it's like to be a senior. They know what it's like to need assistance.
See, I love that you have a lot of volunteers who are Kupuna themselves.
Yes.
And they help care for and equip other Kupuna.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
The younger ones, what I call younger, they're still working full time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I want to ask a little bit about your personal background, because I think it speaks to how other people may have gotten involved in the organization. Somehow you came across it and you were just intrigued by it and became a passion. But maybe you can share how that was for yourself.
Okay, I guess I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I moved to Hawaii, and then I went to school, and I went to college at Cal State LA. And I was interested in taking aging classes, gerontology classes. I don't know why, but I was just taking them. And then I came back to Honolulu, and then Mrs. Rose Nakamura heard that I was coming back and approached me if I would be a volunteer with Project Donna, continue my education. And after I graduated with my master's in public health, subspecializing in gerontology, which is the study of the aging process, then I was offered a full-time position. So this has been my only job since graduate school, actually.
They saw something in you.
I don't know. Well, like I said, it's very rewarding, very rewarding.
Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the volunteers who come around, I assume it's because they have somebody who's been assisted in some way by the organization, and they just see the good in it, and they say, hey, I want to be a part of this.
It can be that, or else, they live with their grandparents. Or we had one mother-son team that the grandmother was on Maui, and so they lived here. So the mother wanted her son to know what it was like to be around with the elderly, growing up with elderly. Or else, they've heard about Project Donna, or like you said, they know somebody that got assistance. So it's because we're a coalition of churches, temples, and community organizations. I say like 90% are church members, or temple members, or community organization members.
Well, what I also really appreciate about your organization is that you're organized. It's not like you just do things a few times out of the year, but this is a continual process, and it seems like you're built on a team of volunteers, and there's a motivation behind it, And so I must ask you, before we get into specifics about your services, what is this concept? What does Project Donna mean?
Okay, well, Dana, D-A-N-A, it's a Sanskrit word that means selfless giving. For a Buddhist, it's one of the first paramitas to become enlightened. So it's selfless giving without any expectation of anything back in return.
Right. Like unconditional love.
Yeah, if you sort of like that. Yeah.
Well, and that's somebody has to truly embody that to want to volunteer.
And
right?
I think all our volunteers do, and the staff does too. Yeah.
And I think that's why you guys are continuing to grow and continue to benefit the community. Well, I do want to talk more about your services, Cyndi. So we'll do more of that right after this commercial break.
We'll be back with more KupunaWiki right after this.
How was that?
Good job. So,
We'll talk about the programs, the falls, and then swing it over to Maria about the support.
sounds good.
Mike. So when we come back from break, I'm gonna talk about the fall prevention first, and then we're gonna shift over to Maria on the support.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, should I move this now? Move it now to
Yeah,
me?
sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Welcome back to KupunaWiki on AM 690 The Answer.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we have Project Donna, and in studio we have Cyndi Osajima, Mike Hirano, and Maria Morales in studio. And in the first section, we kind of got a background of what Project Donna is and how it got started. But I actually want to dive into the services that you folks offer. And let's start with the fall prevention program, Mike. I'm looking at some of the statistics here, and they're pretty staggering. In Hawaii, it says 51% of deaths among elders are caused by falls, and 61% are women. That's pretty staggering. I mean, when you talk about the population of Hawaii, I mean, we're an island, but we still have a pretty big population here. And to say that half of them are caused by falls, that's big, right?
Yeah, actually, even nationally, this is a big problem. So after the age of 65, 1/3 of all seniors will fall every year.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a situation where people are in danger, and sometimes if they don't do anything about it, they can have drastic results.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me just give you a few extra statistics.
Sure.
We have a lot of people, when we give national statistics, they say, yeah, but that doesn't apply to Hawaii. Actually, Hawaii is a little better, but just to give you some statistics,
Sure.
Said last year here in Hawaii, over 9,000 seniors fell and were taken to emergency because of the fall. Out of that, over 1,900 of them remained in the hospital, and out of that, 130 died because of the fall.
Mm.
And that, it might say, well, I didn't fall, so it didn't affect me or something. Well, it costs over $207 million in hospital charges.
Wow.
And, that affects everybody's pocketbook.
Sure.
And that doesn't include the doctor's charges, too.
Right.
So there are statistics that are kind of mind-boggling, even for me, even though I've been working in this area.
Mm-hmm.
I never take that for granted.
Yeah. And it's not just the cost. I mean, it's the time that's taken out to care for someone that after a fall, right? So those are the costs that's not calculated.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned this because my grandma is one of these statistics. She fell, and we go and visit her, check up on her often. So she was living alone, and we make our periodical calls to her, and one day she just wasn't answering, and so we were wondering like what's going on, because normally she knows when we're going to call, and so when we called, several of us called and she didn't pick up. then of course one of us decided to go and check up on her. And sure enough, we opened the door and she's on the floor. She's awake, but we don't know how long she fell. And you know, it was shocking because I was the one who went to check up on her. And you know, I kind of froze and I was like, "Oh, what's going on? You know, what do I do?" But she fell. We helped her up, sat her on the couch, and of course she did fracture her hip. That was one of the results of the fall. And but ever since the fall, she never got better. And I think you know, she wasn't able to go back home, and then she ended up passing a few months later. So it's you know, when I'm looking at your statistics, she popped into my head, and that's something that I could definitely relate here.
Well, that's you know, part of it. Like you mentioned, you know, it's not just the cost. You know,
Right.
it's the aggravation to people who care. Perhaps even if she recovered, yeah, her amount of care would increase dramatically,
Right.
and that's something that would affect you or whoever will help to, you know, who needs to care for.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So with this, your prevention program, what can we do, or what can the families do to help these falls from happening?
Or they can call us and then we can do a fall prevention assessment for them. Our assessment is more, you know, about environmental, you know, because in the seniors spend maybe 75-80% of the time in their home, and that's where most of the falls happen. The idea is a lot of these things are simple. People know about it, but they don't do anything about it. You know, do you have a throw rug? Do you have grab bars in the bathroom? Do you have hazardous things in your house? And when I say hazardous, it doesn't mean it's a fire or a knife or a gun or something like that. It means that you have something in your way, something that can cause you to fall. And sometimes people are not aware of this. They take it for granted and they just go about their daily lives, and sooner or later they will fall because of that. Like for instance, if your house has a coffee table and you sit on the sofa or the chair behind it, it's very difficult for you to get by it, and people just put up with it all the time. So just that, by either moving it or putting it in a different area, maybe that's something that can be eliminated from being a fall situation.
So when a family calls you, I guess you go and visit them, their environment, their living environment, and you make suggestions on what they can do to help eliminate some of these falls.
Exactly.
Like you said, maybe moving the coffee table, and installing grab bars, etc.
Yeah, we we can't solve every situation. You know, I mean, there's too many to do, and then we can't make you do anything. But we can point out things that could be a hazard, and then hopefully you will do something about it, and you know, that would eliminate that hazard. The other thing is we suggest things to. I mean, we will talk about medical, but we're not medical people. So, but we talk about health, and we talk about, you know, medications and things like that, because we want to try and eliminate some of the hazards that you know, cause a fall from happening. But you know, those are some of the things that we talk about. We look at the home, we see something, we tell you about it. Sometimes we have programs due to grants that we can help with things like grab bars, response alarms. For instance, like your situation, if your grandma had a response alarm, perhaps by pressing it, you would get to her sooner.
Yes.
Those are some of the things that we can mention, and hopefully some of the seniors or their caregivers who are affected will do something about it, so that that home is a little safer.
Yeah, she did. She did have. Oh, she didn't have the mobile alarms on her person, but she had those installed in her unit. It was a senior a senior home situation. So they have those, like those strings where you can, the buttons that you can push. But well, she was pretty far from it, so she wasn't able to get there. But yeah, I think having those mobile alerts would have helped.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's your fault.
Yeah.
I'm just saying these are some of the things that, we always say, well, I wish I did this.
Right.
I wish I did it. And maybe if we're out there telling you about it, you might do something, do some action about that, and hopefully take, rid that situation.
Right. And how long does a typical assessment take?
It depends on the size of the home and people have questions. Normally, I'm in the home for an hour to 2 hours.
Okay, so it's pretty thorough then.
Well, we talk a lot, so I like to talk. So, and usually they like to, we go over many things. And like I said, we don't do medical situations, but we talk about it. We want to be sure that people talk to their doctor. If they have a problem, talk to their doctor. A lot of seniors don't like to talk to their doctor, so they don't give the doctor enough information so they can treat their doctor.
And I'm assuming when you have this assessment, you want the families there as well to understand what needs to be done, because they are the support.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they can be there, I really like it, because they're the ones who will also implement some of the things that we might talk about. And sometimes they like for us to be there too, because when we, I'll say something, and the first thing that they'll say is, "See, I told you."
Yeah, it's always seniors like to listen to third-party opinions versus from their family, right? Because they may. It was the same thing with my grandparents. Yeah, it made it a lot easier when they heard it from someone else. Yeah. But I want to touch upon the support aspect of your program, because that is something that I think it plays a big role in caregiving, because over time it does weigh a lot on the caregiver when they have their families of their own to care for, but also have their parents or seniors to care about. Now, I want to turn it over to Maria, and you folks have this support group for caregivers. Can you share a little bit about that?
So the family caregiver support group, like you mentioned, are family caregivers with all of the responsibilities, tasks that they do have to take care of to care for their loved one. Eventually, they do experience some stresses. They could experience them emotionally, physically, psychologically, even financially. You could experience some stress in that. So with our program, we provide services with the goal of alleviating those stresses. We do recognize that for some of our members, they do, and for caregivers in general, they do come in and take on the role without any sort of training or education about just what the job will entail. So we, part of the, with our services, we kind of hope to give that kind of, fulfill that kind of need for our caregivers. So we do services such as providing support group meetings and one-on-one counseling. With our support group meetings, we have 3 different components. The first component is education, where we invite various speakers from different organizations or professions that are related to caregiving and aging, and they talk about information like common illnesses or health care, like talking about Medicaid or Medicare, as well as maybe different caregiving strategies that they can use. And then the second component that we have, we call it rap sessions, but it's mostly talk story between the caregivers, because they get the opportunity to learn from each other, learn from the others' experiences. What have they done with any problems that they've experienced in their caregiving and then sharing it to others. The third component that we have, every 3 months we schedule some kind of outing for our caregivers because we do recognize that, with all of the caregiving responsibilities, our caregivers doesn't get as much opportunity to be able to partake in activities that are aside of caregiving. So we've scheduled going to the movies. We've gone to museums, gardens, and every year we do some kind of gathering with our members. So really just an activity where they can be outside of the caregiving realm.
Wow, Maria, that's great. Project Donna has just done so much for the community. I mean, is there a cost to all of this, and how do you folks get supported?
There are no charges for our services, but
Right.
donations are very, 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 very
Mm-hmm. Okay, well said.
I just want to add to what Maria said. We have 2 support groups, and the first one that meets at the Honganji Hawaii Veteran, it's been going on for 19 years. And then the second one, we just started in Paho Honganji. And you don't have to be a member of the churches or anything. March it started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it's a very unique, very different type of support group. I mean, 19 years is a good track record.
That's great. Well, if somebody listening wanted to get involved with Project Donna or require services, how can they contact you?
Yeah, they can either call 945-3736, that's our headquarters in Honolulu, or they can look on our website, but still it's probably best to call because we like to talk story and see what the situation. It's always nicer to get a human person on the other side.
Well, thank you so much, Cyndi, Mike, and Maria from Project Donna. Thank you for all that you do for the community.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we have our KupunaWiki Classic.